excited to be sharing with you the new Switchless collection. These 4 tricks are all very, very strong on their own. They're just real powerhouse tricks. I know at least 1 or 2 or 3 of the 4 of them, maybe all 4, are going to appeal to your performance style. There's a lot of history behind these tricks. I came up with 1 or 2 of them many years ago. Snowstorm, for example, I came up with probably 20 years ago. And I loved it. For many, many years I would perform it, and I kept thinking in the back of my mind, man, it'd be great to be able to perform this trick with a signed card and then be able to leave it as a souvenir at the end. So now you can, thanks to the application of the Switchless gimmicks. I also want to mention that several years ago, I had memory relapse. Was a trick I developed, and I used to use a slightly thicker magnet. It's the magnet I found the easiest to get online, and I used it, and then I marketed it, and people were really excited about it. It's based on a very old trick of mine, in fact. However, I want to let you know that more recently I've been able to find a thinner magnet that works even better. Better on angles. For changeling, for example, you're handling a bill, and the thinner magnet means that now there's less chance of flashing. It's easier to palm. The shape of the new magnet I'm including now with this collection is also a better shape to palm. So there's a whole bunch of benefits on that. So I can't wait to share these 4 tricks with you. Like I said, they're really powerful, really visual. I love the fact that they have souvenirs if you want and giveaways. So let's jump right in and take a look at all 4 of these really cool tricks in the Switchless collection. Changeling is just pure fun. Now, what I mean by that is once you make the gimmick and set things up, the thing is pretty much self-working. It's basically a one-move trick. Requiring a finger palm, really, and at a great time, I'll show you the emotional hook, sort of the theatrical moment it happens, which makes it so strong as well. So it's just fun. Now, before we go any further into the principle here, I want you to keep in mind, you can use this same principle, definitely with a playing card, so you can have something written in a circle on the playing card and have whatever in that circle change, a shape, a message, a prediction, whatever you want, a number in that circle. So on a playing card this will work. This will work, as I mentioned in the preview, on a takeout menu. It'll work pretty much on any thin surface that has a bit of a slide to it. It won't, for example, work on cloth, but it would work on, I have done it on certain paper napkins. I've done it on a paper napkin before, but it's not my first choice. My first choice is with dollar bills because they're opaque, because they have a smooth surface that allows the gimmick to slide, and because money interests people. People are interested in money. I've even done this, I don't want to forget to mention this too, I've even done this effect with a borrowed bill, where I basically ring in the setup bill for another one. So basically what I do with that, I don't want to forget to tell you the details, is I'll borrow a bill and sort of basically write a prediction on the borrowed bill, write a circle and the identity of a playing card, the value and the suit on it, fold that up, and then maybe we'll get it in the deck of cards or something. I will ring in the gimmick at that point. Now, what is the gimmick? All right, the gimmick is this. Take a dollar bill. You are going to destroy a dollar bill to make the gimmick, so you may as well stick with a $1 bill. Just a tip from Uncle Jay. So you got the dollar bill here. And what I've done is I've drawn a circle, and I've written a 3 and a D on that. Now, I'm sort of getting ahead of myself here, because first thing I did was I wrote a, here, let me show you this. Okay, there. That is a piece, and what I did is I took a bill, I fold it in half, not a perfect half, just sort of a casually folded in half bill. Okay, that's what I did, step 1. Step 2, I opened the bill and I drew a circle and the Jack of Hearts, a J heart, in that circle. Okay, that was the second step I did. Then I cut that out. Okay, and as you can see, I cut that out. Then I lay this on another bill, again, folded much the same. I lay this circle on another bill, and with a pencil, I traced in the same spot, okay? I traced it with a pencil. Now, why do I do that? I do that so that I knew the next, I drew another circle with a different card, a 3D now, and this is permanently on there, okay? But notice that this is slightly bigger because of I made sure, maybe you can still see the pencil, not quite. I made sure that this circle was a little bit smaller than this circle, so that when this is over that, I don't want a little bit of a telltale circle like that edge, right? I want to make sure it totally covers it, which it does, all right? Now you're going to find the gimmicks that come with Changeling. First, you're going to take the steel shim, and that is a pure steel shim, and with a piece of tape, and I'm going to hold it up just in case People don't know what tape is. This is tape, the piece of tape. I just stuck that down on there like that, okay? So that now fits perfectly on, right on top. So the Jack of Hearts fits on top of the 3 of Diamonds. And with the magnet that comes along, another part of the Changeling gimmick set. Let me just get this here, like this, like this. Now don't get like that. Boom. So now I can open this up and show, and I can show it around. And again, I'm right here with lots of bright sunlight right on me. It's going to be much more revealing. If I hold it up, you'll see a little bit of a shadow or something. But normally, in a bar, walk around gig, whatever, I can have this in my shirt pocket up here, all set up to go, and this can be my bet. And that's really the great emotional hook on this, is that, you know, the magician who puts his money where his mouth is. And in fact, I've made a prediction here, going to risk a whole $1. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, high stakes here at my show. This is why, and this principle allows me to show this super fairly around. Okay, boom, there's my prediction. And then, of course, it turns out the prediction is wrong. Now, so what do I do? First thing I want to do, of course, is not force the Jack of Hearts. That's supposed to be my wrong one. I'm going to force, I believe it was a 3 of Diamonds in this example. Yes, I'm going to force the 3 of Diamonds. Okay, so that's my setup. So the handling for the trick, this is all set up here. This is all set up and it's in, and you can see how this principle now could work on the back of a playing card, could work on a paper napkin. Though napkins, again, can be, if they're kind of thin, it works better. I've done it on a cloth napkin, can kind of work if it's thin. The key is thin and slide. It has to have a bit of a slick surface, okay? So you're here on your business card. Definitely can do some stuff with your business card using these two, using this principle again, the whole Changeling gimmicks. Now, what I'm going to do, of course, is have a pack of cards. I'm going to have a card selected, force the 3 of Diamonds in whatever way works for me, have it put back in the pack. It's nice to start by saying, let's try something with I've got a pretty, and notice that you can lay this down on a table. Okay, you don't want it to hit the table. Listen. It's a weird sounding bill. If there's a table, a bar stool, and there's usually ambient sound, of course. If there's a tablecloth there, you can lay this down and don't sweat. It's not like, no one expects a folded bill to lie perfectly flat. Okay, you can put a bit of a bend in if you want. Lay it down there, okay? That can be your prediction. You forced your 3 of Diamonds, of course, back in the pack. Here it is, and finally you reveal, blah-blah, that was the card, right? They go, no, it wasn't. So, right there's your theatrical moment. There's where everything shifts. There's where the people go, what, is he serious? I can't believe he missed it. This guy's not perfect, etc. And that's the perfect opportunity to steal off the gimmick. Now, to steal off the gimmick. So this turns out to be wrong. I close this like this. Now, depending if you're left hand or right hand, but basically all you need to do, forget about the gimmick inside the bill. All you need to do is slide the magnet. You'll find if you're holding the bill and you just simply slide the magnet out, the gimmick comes right along for the ride. Right? The whole thing rests super easy just in finger palm. So I do this on the offbeat. Okay, I've got it set up with everything set up to go inside. Got my magnet on that side. I show it. It's wrong. I lower my hands down out of the scene. Really, it really was the wrong card. And when you lower down, nobody's looking over here. Okay, just with my fingers, I curl these fingers. Okay, like this, and it slides. I want you to, it slides. There it is, coming out already. Simply curl the gimmick here into my hand, the gimmick, everything goes in and I'm clean. So I've just been able to take a bill and with no switch, none whatsoever, having shown written in indelible ink on the surface, a circle with a prediction, and a moment later, the prediction has changed and everything can be examined. Awesome, awesome trick, awesome principle, so much you can do with this. So, but rather than lowering down, stealing off the gimmick, and then revealing it, okay, which, though they're not going to think what could be in your hand, an eraser, a printing press, what, it's nice to be a little further ahead from them. So, once I've stolen off the gimmick, maybe I'll put the marker away. That way I'm super clean, right? Super clean. Or maybe I'll say, well, let me just take my hand and say, you guys want to see a coin trick instead? No, I tell you what, let me try to make good on this. Put my hand in my pocket, ditch the gimmick, just literally saying, you guys want to see a coin trick? No, let me try and come up like this. So here, let's take it one step further, okay? So this remains in full view. And again, if you are an experienced magician and don't mind holding this out for a little while in your hand, you can steal it off, say, look, maybe fold it up and put it in someone's hand. Now, all focus goes onto that hand. Both hands are away from the pack. You're good to go, all right? And you can, again, at that point, you can say a magic word. You can have someone concentrate on the value and the suit, however you want to play it up at that point. And then when they open their hand, and again, no switch. Your hands look beautifully clean throughout. When they open that up, and they find it has changed. I mean, this is the kind of thing where you're going to get people looking at this. I even once had a woman go, as if it was going to melt off or something. It's one of these ones where there's obviously no explanation. Sleight of hand doesn't make sense of that. An optical illusion doesn't make sense of that. It's on an obviously ordinary bill. So it's, there's so many things I love about this. I've got some amazing responses with this trick, and I'm sure you will too. When I first came up with Thought Thief many years ago, Richard Sanders and I developed it. It's in When Creators Collide. It's with a playing card. And then Memory Lapse on 22 Blows to the Head. And then finally this effect, Memory Relapse. I love how direct this is. You're going to like the method. It's very sneaky. It's one of these things where the gimmicks do all the work for you, essentially, so you can really focus on presenting this very strange and, I'll tell you right now, challenging effect to present. Have to be very clear or it can get confusing. And when I present it to people, I always start by saying, I'm going to show you something now that's not really a magic trick. It's not a puzzle. It doesn't always work. I'm actually going to try to cause you to forget something. Now, I'm going to warn you right now, when we forget something, it can be very disorienting because, of course, we don't remember we ever remembered it, and then when we forget, and it can be very confusing. So I'm glad your friends are here because they're going to help. They're going to be, because if this works, it's going to be very strange, and it's going to be unclear, and it could even be confusing for you, the person we're going to try this with. But your friends will be here as sort of the test subjects. They'll be here to sort of make sure that nothing that what I'm going to tell you, what it claims to have happened, really did happen. They are the witnesses. It's really important to emphasize this off the top when presenting this effect with people. So what is the effect? The basic effect is that you show some symbols on the back of an envelope. Somebody gets it in their mind. You then talk to their friends and say, I'm going to try to cause this person to forget one of the symbols. And not just any one of the symbols, one in particular. So I'm going to try them not only to get them to forget something, but get them to forget exactly the piece of information that I want them to forget. All right? So it's a very specific kind of effect. And they are your test subject. The person, of course, gets to see the symbols. They get to see the symbols and all this stuff. Now, let's get to the gimmick. The gimmick will help you understand where we're going with this effect. With this, I worked a long time on this one. I had it for a while. I had an envelope switch involved, and that worked fine. And then I said to myself, if I can just get rid of the envelope switch and just stick with one envelope, then I'll be in the best case possible. Get your little dot, your metal shim there, and with one piece of tape, and I've cut this square out of one of the other envelopes that comes along with this. I cut the square out and made sure. Now, the easiest way to do this is to work backwards. Is you're going to draw a square, okay? And notice I've deliberately extended little pieces here and there a little bit just to really add to, I don't want it looking too clean, so I've done that, all right? And I draw a diamond, heart, square, circle. Then take this and put this up against the glass of a window on a nice bright day. And what you'll be able to do is then take, if you've cut a piece of paper out of one of the other envelopes, you can lay it on top here, and you'll be able to, with a pencil, trace right on the piece of paper here. You'll be able to trace the size of this square. Then you'll then draw the black square, cut it out neatly, and what you have is this. So it's got black ink around it, this attached on it like that. Okay. Now, get a file card, one of your business cards, okay? Draw a heart on it, and the magnet that's included with this, with again a piece of tape, stick the magnet to the back of it, all right? So your setup is that you're going to take the magnet, and you might, depending on the size of your business card and whether you use a file card or maybe a folded piece of paper a few times or whatever, you might have to play with the positioning of the magnet on this a little bit. You might even want to play with the positioning of this a little bit. Consider slightly larger squares or smaller squares, whatever's comfortable for you. Right? In the end, though, I'm going to lay this over the heart. I'm going to take my prediction, make sure my magnet's where I need it to be. I've got that laid over the square. I've got this in here. And I'm going to slip this inside here like this, get that in my position, and everything is now self-contained. Now, what I'll sometimes do, too, to make sure that this doesn't get lost in my pocket, is I will put a safety pin on, a paper clip on the whole thing, and boom. Self-contained, going nowhere, locked in. Literally now, anytime, anywhere, I want to do this crazy mind-bending effect, which you will get reactions. I'll tell you right now, I'm warning you. You'll get reactions to this effect unlike anything, any coin trick, card trick, any mentalism effect you do. Sometimes you'll be I think you'll find the reactions sometimes will be much bigger than you imagine. Sometimes they'll be smaller than you imagine. It's a very interesting kind of trick that way. All right, so this is the self-contained thing. Everything ready to go. What else can I tell you? There's so many little details here. If you use a really thick black marker that's especially black, I found this once which sounds crazy. Sometimes what you might want to do is make your gimmick. Make this gimmick here. You might glue together 2 pieces of the cutout envelope, because to make sure it's absolutely opaque. Okay, so that it doesn't start to faintly come through here. There's that thought too. Okay, now I'm here. Presentation-wise. Right? Presentation-wise, this is what I do. First, I take it out. I'm going to show you something, and of course, this gives me a chance, because sometimes I'll take it out and it's like this, and this is not so deceptive. So I'll take it out, make sure it's facing me first, and that gives me, with my 2 thumbs, gives me plenty of chance to readjust it right in front of them. I even say, I've got some symbols here, going to show them to everybody in just a second, and so this here, me looking, gives me plenty of chance to do this. I'm going to show it to everybody in just a second, okay? So I get to readjust last second, which is important. I'm going to turn to someone, emphasize they're going to forget a thought. Tell them right now that this might be a confusing experience for them. Very important you lay that down, right? Then you're going to give them, say, I want you to concentrate on the symbols. You make sure that it's somebody on the far left, that they can see, concentrate on the symbols, okay? And don't be concerned about the gimmick, and they might think it's somehow they'll figure. They're just looking at the symbols. They're nervous. They know you're going to go into their head, okay? So they're just concentrating on the symbols. Think about them, okay? Concentrate on them, okay? Now I bring it down to sort of chest height, okay? Now is when I say, actually, I've made a prediction of which one he's gonna forget. All right. Now, there's 2 ways you can go here. The magnet has very neatly held our fake panel in place. If I reach in here and open up the envelope and pucker it, what'll happen when I pucker it and shift the magnet is the panel will fall right off into finger palm. Okay? So it was held in place securely with the magnet, but as soon as I pucker it and start to kind of move this a bit, this comes out. This is my prediction, okay? I'm going to show you this in a second. And what I do is I grab the envelope here then, take it away from the hand here, and this can fall to my side, okay? I can even take the prediction here at this point. This is a prediction of which one he's going to forget, and I want you guys to concentrate on the symbols as well. And now I show them to the friends, and of course the friends now see all 4 symbols. And I don't say I want you to concentrate on the 4 of them. Don't want to say anything to trigger this guy, okay? I want you to and I want you to try to imagine which of these symbols do you think your friend might forget, because I've got a prediction of which one I'm going to get him to forget. So that's one way to do it, is to get the panel off into finger palm, and you're good to go. You're going to show the prediction in a second, pocket, and all that stuff. Alternatively, no palming. A no palming method, and you'll see where I'm going with this, is as I take out the prediction, the panel, okay, if I don't pucker it too much, I just slide in and drag this out. As this comes out, the prediction is coming along for the ride behind, right? So basically, it's like a no palm. I mean, it just comes as I slide it out. It just comes right out, and I can even make sure it doesn't flash with a corner by putting my thumb on it as well and sort of guiding it, making sure it's locked in place. So you can either use the sleight of hand method, where it gets deposited into finger palm, and very simple. Or just slide it out and it'll stick to the back of your prediction. It's totally up to you in that regard. The friends get to see that. So the next step is the friends get to see that. Now, I'll say, does anybody have a sense? Don't say it out loud just yet. Do you have a sense of which of the symbols? And this immediately either goes right back down, or I'll even hand it to the person to hold on their hand, which is a very dramatic way, because now they've got all the evidence they're set up. And this is my key line. One of the shapes in particular is interesting, because all the shapes are made up of either bent lines or straight lines. Only one shape is a combination of the 2, and that's the one that the mind is going to have the hardest holding on to. That's the one. And at that point, this guy starts to go, thinking, well, there's a square, there's a circle, there's a triangle. None of them are, it's either straight lines, none of them is a combination of the 2, which has already started interesting. And then I ask anybody, and then someone says the heart. And if you had a video camera on the face of this person who goes, the heart, what? It's awesome, because they look now, their experience and their face is exactly that of somebody who has forgotten something. Something doesn't make sense. You warned them it'd be confusing, okay? And your handling was so fair. It's not like you're using a pack of cards with all these geometric symbols and blah, blah. It's just an envelope with your prediction. And when someone says the heart, or if they say the square, they say, well, actually, the one I'm pretty sure he's forgotten is the heart. You show the heart, of course, and that's your prediction. Now, at this point, this person can't believe it. And they cannot believe. It's so interesting because they can't believe what's happening. And they assume this guy's joking. And as soon as people turn this over, as soon as the guy looks at that and sees that, I can't even tell you what happens. It's different every time. It's different every single time. I do find that if you can get them to suggest which one when they say it first, it seems to get a more interesting, richer reaction than when you say the heart. And of course, take that, you open that up, you put that in your pocket. If you want, you can have a second one of these that isn't gimmicked, and you can take that out in that way. And that's what I would suggest you do. Well, I mean, I used to carry it around. I don't do it so much anymore because I think it's not required. I mean, this is gimmicked somehow, your business card. I mean, heck, you can even flash it if you want. But if you wanted to, of course, you can put this in your pocket. After you show the prediction, put it in your pocket. Then the effect registers everyone, and then you can take out the duplicate and drop it on the table as well. With the notion of and if anybody, I warned you, be a strange effect. And in fact, you guys can keep a business. You can keep it as a souvenir. One of the cool things about this is that you can, because it costs you pennies in the card, is you can leave all this, tuck this back inside, and leave it all with them as a souvenir. Really self-contained and possible effect. You can use the same magnet and the same shim to create a stand-up version. Just use the larger envelope. I wouldn't go with one of these really, really big ones. This sort of medium-sized envelope, same design, same everything. The only difference would be in this case, you definitely wouldn't be doing the pop and the steel, because you'll notice that the square you're taking, even though it's not that big, it's smaller than a palm card, I don't think you're going to want to steal that off. I think that in this instance, you're definitely going to want to have a piece of shirt cardboard folded in half or something that you can slide out. The gimmick will come along behind with the magnet, and you can do the whole thing. So this can be a stand-up show version you can do for a whole bunch of people. Now for this really sweet close-up trick twice right, you're going to use the same gimmicks but in a kind of a different way, okay? Going to need a deck of cards, okay? And I do think a red deck works better because it uses a red card case. And what I've drawn on one side of the red card case is my prediction that says 2 of hearts, okay? At least that's what it looks like. But again, I just love this principle, okay? Because it looks like I've drawn the 2 of hearts, but actually I've got the 2 of hearts here and the ace of diamonds written beneath it. Okay, now let me show you the setup here. First, so I've taken a card case, okay, and I've cut a piece out of the card case. And this is the piece I've cut out here. And it doesn't have to be exactly this shape and size, but you'll get the idea here. And I've written 2 of hearts on it, and then with a little piece of tape, I put the steel shim on the back. Okay, so that's one piece. Then over here, what I've done is I've written ace of diamonds. Now, as I explained with Changeling, very similar principle. That what you want to do is you want to make sure that this piece is slightly bigger than this outline. Probably the best way to do that is to cut out the piece first, lay this down, then trace with pencil, very thin pencil, around it. And then you'll learn. Now also too, what I've done here is I put black ink around the edges. So don't forget with some of these, not only can you do but if you then take the marker and put a little bit of ink on the edges, that's gonna, that's great if you're performing for a microscientist who's looking at you from an inch away. Okay, but for the most part, you'll be just fine. So that's here. Now, the one other thing, I was so pleased when I came up with this, because the key to so much of this good close-up magic that for me is truly useful in the real world is everything must be examinable at the end. So in this instance, again, rather than having to do a difficult palm and all this stuff, all I've done is on the Joker, I've taped the very thin magnet. All right, so the setup is this. I think you'll like the setup here. Take the Joker, okay, with the thin magnet sort of, it's going to end up below that, okay, but I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to turn it face, but obviously you don't want the magnet down here. That's not going to work for you, okay? You want the magnet to end up directly below, of course, your gimmicked area. So this goes into the, well, let's see, the easiest way to describe it, probably. This is on the bottom of your deck, all right, like this. There's the magnet up there. This goes in here. Close this up. Take this, boom. Let's say you're going to use this as an opening trick, okay, just for example here. What that allows you to do is it means you don't have to find your forced cards with a color or anything during performance. You got everything set up, okay? And all I do is I open up the case, and I want to just take my cards out. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. I can either turn the case over, spill everything out, really simple, okay, and go on my way. That's very simple, and everything stays in place because of the magnet and the shim and the whole bit. Or, if it's more your personality type, what you can do to make sure you have complete control is you open the case, okay, you're going to hold back that card with your fingertips so it's going nowhere. Then reach in with thumb and fingers, pull out the deck, okay? And all this happens, of course, with this side of the card case facing people. You put that down, you're good to go. Now, what I've done is I've got my ace of diamonds, my two of hearts, right on top of the deck, okay? So this would be, again, like for an opening trick. All right. Now the way there's so many. This is an example again. Like how would you present? It's going to suit your style this way or that. But the way I would do it, the way I like to do it, is this: cut the pack. Okay. I can show the cards are all different. Blah blah blah. That's fine. Okay. I can even maybe do a couple of fancy cuts as long and shuffles as long as I keep the top couple of cards right up on top there. Okay. Then I've shuffled, I've mixed, the cards can be looked at, the cards can even be examined, everything's cool, except I've got everything still on top. So the first thing I want to do is force my ace of diamonds. So what I do is I say, look, I turn, give a little, cut the pack, keep a little pinky break there, going to turn to someone, let's say to someone on my left and say, just say stop whenever you want. I say, okay, take a look at that card, keep that in mind, thank you so much. Then I say, wait a second, I actually already, let's say, I say, look, actually, I'm going to do a trick for her instead, okay? So forget about your card, I'm going to do a trick for her. So I start by forcing the ace of diamonds. Okay. Then I act like, you know, in fact, I think it might work better for this person over here. And then what I do is go over to them, and I now want to force my two of hearts. So if I forced my ace, okay, the riffle force, and I show the card, when I pull this back, now I just keep a pinky break below the ace. Okay. Like this. Turn to the next person and say, okay, now, and I act like I'm really just starting now, and I say, go ahead, call stop. Great. I say, go ahead, take a look at your card. Remember your card. Keep in mind, I'm going to try something with that. So essentially what you've done is you've forced the ace of diamonds and acted like, forget about it. Forget the ace of diamonds, okay? Let's really now focus on this person here. So you want to act like this ace of diamonds is nothing. Okay, and then you force. Now, I'm using riffle force, but you can use much simpler forces, a countdown force or the crisscross force, and, you know, any total beginner force you want, okay? And just in case you're a brand new magician, okay, let's say this is the first thing, the first gimmicks you've ever purchased in your life, you can have the ace of diamonds and two of hearts on top. Have the cards looked at, okay? Ask someone to lift off some cards wherever they want, put them over. So and you use the phrase, I'm going to mark the cut, like this, like that. And you say, do you think it's possible for someone to predict, do you think you have free will? Or do you think it's possible for someone to predict your choices? You talk to them for a little bit so there's a time lapse. Then you come back over here, lift this up and say, okay, one, you take a peek at the card you saw. And these are actually the top cards. I'm just using a very old force called the crisscross force. Works beautifully. Say, go ahead, remember your card. Okay, you got that in mind? Okay. Then I pick these up and I sort of reverse the cut here like this. And then you can say, wait a second, actually, forget about yours. Let's come over here. I want to use yours, okay? And so you need to remove this card from the top. And you could either maybe you can shuffle the cards overhand and get rid of it that way. Or you can, what you could have done, very simple, is if they'd done the crisscross force, lift this up, say, take a look at your card, remember it, okay, keep it in mind. Just take this card and slip it in the middle of the cards on top, okay? Then this is a total non-sleight of hand version like this. Then say, wait a second, forget about yours, let's try it with you instead. Here we're going to do the same thing, cut wherever you want, and this is still the top cards, okay? What's called the top stock of the deck. They cut the pack, say, do you think I can predict your mind? Okay, I want you to take a little peek at that. And now the second person finally sees the two of hearts. Okay? So you're like that. And the whole while the case is sitting here, and notice, what I love about this is the gimmick is all set with the joker, okay, which is, so it's sort of, if you were ever in a position where someone challenged you with why there's a card in the case, it's the joker, so of course you removed it from the cards. Very standard practice. So anyway, what have you done? You've forced the two cards, okay? But the focus is on the second card. And you say, great, okay, and now you take the cards. Okay, I love how this flows. Take the cards and you can either put them in the card case now, or let's say you're going to do this. Okay, you're going to close the flap. And let's say you did this when you took the cards out of the case. So you closed the flap and you made sure that when you close this flap, it's between the card case and the card gimmick. Okay, like that. So you did that initially. So someone is thinking, you got this person, you focus, they concentrate. I actually predicted which card out of all these cards you would select. I predicted it. And instead of saying I have a prediction in my pocket, I actually kept my prediction the entire time in full view right here. And now I look down on it and right now this is sitting pretty. But let's say it's like this. Okay, it's all over the place like that. Say I actually, and I wrote it. And as I literally say, and I wrote it right on the back of the case, my thumbs come over and just to show you, and I just do this. And I just readjust this in a second. Okay, so I'm behind here. like this. And I just go boom like that, readjust, and it's good to go. I say, got it right here. For the first time, name your card. And the person, remember, free choice. For you and I, more experienced magicians, this may seem like a modest trick, but for lay people who've never probably even seen a real magician before, when they say 2 of hearts and you go, boom, 2 of hearts. Now you want to show everybody, and again, very close. It's still, I mean, the gimmicks work so well, the illusion's so strong, but you're actually moving it anyway. You're saying, look, there it is, the 2 of hearts, and that's the trick. Don't let anybody know there's a second phase coming. Don't suggest, well now, and don't have a sense of moving on. It's boom, there it is. Great trick. I open the case, and I'm acting like it's the end of or as if I'm going to do some other kind of trick, okay? I take my cards, put them inside the case, and then I pause. I go, wait a second. You also over there, you also had a card too, and what have I done? I've just done everything I needed to do, because the gimmick's gone, okay? All I've done here is this is all set up here. And probably the best way to do this is to put the cards in your pocket at that point. You're here. I put the cards in. I start to put the cards in the case. Now notice that you can do this. Put the cards in the case. Okay. Close the case up. Put the case back down and do a coin trick, do a card trick, a rope trick, something else with a borrowed bill, a ring, whatever. Then come back to this. But you have to make sure that this person over here will remember the card they peeked at. Okay. And what's cool is, in people's minds later on, there's this sense of, he did it once, and then somebody was just thinking of a card, and he did it again. But let's say you start to put the cards away in the case, okay? And then you pause. You go, wait a second. I did it for you, but you picked a card too. You were thinking of a card as well, right? And as you say that, all you're going to do, and this is, I'm going to do this with the back of the cards facing them, but this is the exposed view. This is what you see. Because what you're going to do is take all the cards now, including the Joker, and slide them out of the case, okay, like this. Here's the exposed view. And of course, the gimmick comes along for the ride. So this whole thing comes out like this, okay, like that. This, let's say you put this in your pocket. So this goes in your pocket here. So you bring all focus to this case. You say, boom, boom, boom. You were thinking of a card too. Here's what I want you to do. You're going to help me. Hold out your hand. And they have no idea about to change this yet, right? Hold out your hand. Put your other hand on top. Okay, concentrate on the card. I want you to see the color of the card. I want you to see the value of the card. See the suit. For the very first time, tell me, what was it, a 2, a 5, an 8? And they say it was an ace. You go, an ace, okay. That narrows it down. Which one was it? Of course, they're saying, it's an ace of diamonds. Ace of diamonds. You say, okay, well, I got to tell you, have you ever handled a Sharpie marker before? And they go, yeah, sure. So it's indelible ink, right? You can't wipe it off. It doesn't change easily, does it? You say, don't freak out, which I love saying, don't freak out, but turn over the card case and show everybody my prediction. And when you turn this over and people see that your written prediction has changed on the case, everybody looks at the case, they examine it, they rub this with their thumb, it's going nowhere. It is just a super powerful close-up magic moment. Snowstorm is the most complicated setup. And again, it's all one-time setup, or mostly one-time setup. And then you're able to do this trick again and again. It's, like I said, probably the most complicated setup here. However, wow, what a visual trick, what a great giveaway. There's so much about this that I really think this makes the effort, like I said, it's mostly one-time setup. So you put in a few minutes here, and I think it's really worth it. Again, like the souvenirs can be signed or not signed, okay? If it's not signed, you can use the same gimmick again and again and again. If you want it signed, obviously you have to redraw this every time, okay? Which isn't a big deal. And once you get it down, it's going to take you about a minute to make these giveaway cards. All right, now, having said all this, let's look at the setup here. So the first thing I did was I took a card and I drew a big circle. Nice big, almost filled up the whole card there, a big black circle in the upper right and the upper part, okay? Then I cut that circle out, and that is what I did here. Okay, so I drew a big circle, I cut it out, and as usual I put black ink around the edges and I put dots, nice meaty, not little tiny dots, but kind of, I don't know, bigger dots. Dot, dot, dot. I don't know how many are on there, 15, 20, something like that are on there like that. Maybe 25, 30, who knows. I'm not going to count them, I refuse to. Okay, so you got that there. In the dead center of that, I have used a little bit of Scotch tape and put the metal shim in the middle of that card, the middle of that gimmick. Okay, then I took that gimmick and I laid that down. And I lined up the design pattern, okay, and I took a pencil and I circled the whole thing. And then, because when I do a circle, that lets me know the size of this gimmick. Then on the inside, if I've drawn a pencil, just on the inside of that pencil line, I draw a second circle. Here's what I've done here. I kept the pencil. I don't know if you can quite see the pencil line. So I know that this circle is going to absolutely be a tiny bit bigger. I'm just lining up the pattern here, than this circle. So that when this piece is laid on top of the other circle, okay, it's going to cover by a little bit. It's just a little bit bigger. All right. Then so I drew the circle, and I'm going to force the 3 of diamonds here. So I took all the dots and sort of made a 3 and made a diamond shape in there like that. And I was reminded when I made this circle, see this little hiccup here? Do not worry about such little things when you're drawing circles. As magicians, it's so easy to get caught up in the silliest little details that lay people never care about. Their minds are on a million other things, okay? There is even a bit of a time lapse you'll see in the handling, so no one's going to remember that little divot there. And I drew so this is a snow globe, the old traditional snow globe, and this is a simply drawn pedestal of the globe there, like that, okay? So I've drawn that card. This is the card I'm going to give away in the end, okay? Going to be signed in this case. I'll show you, but it doesn't have to be signed. And this of course covers that. And the transformation is going to happen from and I got to say, to be totally honest, I've done this in performance and sort of headed into the trick with this pattern slightly like this. It's not perfectly lined up like that. I've done it like this. I've even done it like this, and people don't even notice. No one cares. Okay, it's just they're focusing on the details of the marker, not so much whether the wheel lines up with the wheel. Okay, so don't sweat the small stuff. But again, you'll have plenty of opportunity to make it perfect if you want during live performance. All right, so this is how it's going to go. That's the setup for these. Now, so that's one part of the setup. The other part, and this is mostly one-time setup, like I said. Now, this again, more of your one-time setup. You're going to take the magnet, okay, and you're going to lay it on sort of directly on the wagon wheel, or where you want to be cutting these is where this metal shim, of course, is going to line up perfectly, okay? So I guesstimate and I draw a little square that's a little bit bigger than my magnet, okay? And I cut it out. I've done that. And now what I've done is then you take this card and you use it as a template. And just to show you exactly what I mean here, I line it up with another card. I take my magic marker, and then I draw a square inside there, and a square. I'll grab a square inside here. You can see, I'm sure, where I'm going to be going with this. And I draw a square inside there, and I do it with a total. So I've got my template card, okay, and I'm going to do it with a total of 4 other cards. 4 other cards should be enough for you now, okay? Then you're going to take your straight blade, okay, and you're going to cut out the squares from each of the 4 cards. Once you've cut out all the squares, okay, going to take these, get some glue stick. You could use some white glue, I guess, if you wanted, but you don't need much, okay? I'm just going to put a nice little bit on each of these and line them, sort of boom, putting a bit of glue stick on each, a bit of glue stick on each, and leave the last one, no glue stick on top of that. Boom, put these all together, give them a press. Okay, and they're going to eventually harden together. And they're not going to be under a lot of stress or anything. So, again, that's why I'm not... If you want, you can be very careful about putting glue stick here. But be careful you don't get any glue stick on the edge, because then it can start to show on the sides of the card. So I've made a block here, okay? Now, I'm going to put this block on top of another indifferent card. All right? So this is just going to go on top there. Right? Then I'm going to take the magnet. And, in fact, this is just... Put the magnet in dead center of there. Okay, then get a bit of tape, piece of tape, take that tape and put that right over the top. Now notice now, I can take this gimmick now, all right, and if you wanted, again, you could, this is sort of resting on, this is all permanently, that's all permanently going nowhere. This is basically the top card of your pack. So now notice that your setup is going to be, and this trick is great for an opening trick, but it's also where I use it mostly as a closing effect. Is I'll do something with my red deck of bicycle cards, do a trick or 2 or 3, then I'll do a coin trick, do something else with this, a bit of mind reading, whatever, and as soon as I finish with the card tricks at the beginning, I put the deck away, maybe in the card case, okay? Then I put that in my pocket, and then I do a couple other tricks here like this, and at the end I say, let me try one more thing, something really special, and I apparently take the cards out, but it's a second deck of cards, all set up. And if you've had your first deck already examined and shuffled by spectators, etc., then you're going to be in really great position now, okay? You're going to be all set up, because when you take the cards out, and so the setup's going to be this. I've got my 3 of diamonds, okay? And I'm going to force that. And there's a bunch of different forces you can use once you've got everything set up. But here's my setup now. This is going to be on top of my switched in deck, all there like that. This is going to be on top of that. This is going to be on top of that, and I'm going to make sure again that it's lined up like this. So I've got it all lined up, and then typically what I do is I then have the, there we go, and then I then have the force card on top. So when I take the cards again out of the card case, boom, I take the cards, they're going to look exactly like just can even be handled an ordinary deck of cards, but you have this insane, super cool setup right up on top here like this, okay? So, we're here. What's my performance? How do we keep it simple and how do we keep it magical and all this stuff? Okay. First, I want to force this card. And again, I mean, I probably know, if you put a gun to my head, I probably know, I don't know, 20 different card forces, 25 card forces. But in performance, what's really simple, I just want to force this top card. So the easiest is to just cut the pack, keep a break, do your riffle force, cut the pack there like that, take the card off, and you don't want to take the card off like this, right? You thumb the card off like this and you show it to the people, okay? Remember the card, everyone remember the card, okay? I take the card and I slip it back into the middle of the deck. Okay, boom, like that. Now this is where I have plenty of time, again, like I said, to make sure my gimmick on the back here is all set and ready to go. Now, I take my marker off. And I say, do you guys remember those old snow globes? You used to get them at toy stores and amusement parks where you'd have all the snowflakes inside the globe. And then when you shake, 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 all of the snowflakes would scatter and then they slowly settle. I always thought they were so magical. To me, it was almost like a TV screen. So let's try something. Give me a second here. I want you to concentrate on your card. I'm going to try something here. Let's see here. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and then... So I'm pretending to draw the snow globe right on the back of a card, okay? But in fact, as you know, it's been I drew it on much earlier, and the whole thing is ready to go right there. So all I'm doing is, and a little tip for you here, is I do make contact. Because if what you try to do is to mime this whole thing, if you try to mime the whole thing, you're going to end up putting some ink on the card someplace and it might ruin the illusion. So what I do is I hold the pen here, the nail, and when I'm doing this, what I'm actually doing is this. So the tip, and I pretend to draw the circle, pretend to draw the holder, the stand on the bottom. When I do all this, I actually just trace what's already there, and I go slowly, don't rush it, okay? I trace what's already there in the tap, 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 but never once does the tip of the marker, not only does it not touch, it doesn't even get close. The nail protects, okay? So you're sort of here, and then behind the deck, then I can put that nail out and go like that, and the whole thing looks totally legitimate, okay? Now, you can just show it, okay? And again, it's a movement thing, showing that you've just drawn the snow globe. Pretend, make sure to blow on it a bit like this, and then you can make the transformation. Or what you can do, and I have never done this in an outdoor patio in bright daylight. Where I'll typically do this is in situations like house parties and things like that, or you're in a bar or a club or a restaurant where the lighting is not as bright as daylight, okay? I'm going to tell you that right now if you're going to do the sign version, okay? Then I just, having done that and show that, I hand the marker to somebody and say, do me a favor, just write your initial down there. And when I come down like this, I make sure to put my thumb squarely on the gimmick, just in case the marker gets anywhere close, but it also obscures the gimmick from view too. So somebody writes, and let's put down X. They do this and they do that like that. Sort of my marker here is fading. I've had the cap up for so long. But you ask them to put their initials on the stand, and they can see. There's their initials now down the stand. Here, I got a better marker here, my friends. There we go. Okay. So they put their initial, and the initial is going to be B, and it's going to be L and S like this. Okay. So they've got their initials here like that. And so the initials are here, and it's drawn in like this. And having drawn the initials in like that, this is here like that, and I'm showing that there. Now, so I'm here. They've initialed it. I've done the whole thing. And you're going to love how simple this is. Okay, it doesn't really matter whether you turn it over this way or whether you turn it over this way. Let's say you've just extended it. I blow on it. And now I come over and I take their card off, right? And the trick is done. Just like that. Because the magnet is holding this back. So... And I actually put my thumb on it just to make sure I have total control. You know, I used to develop these kinds of tricks with a little bit of wax or a little bit of tape, and they're just not as dependable as with a magnet. I mean, here, without even using my left thumb to hold it back, okay, I want you to see here. I can simply take this off the top of the deck and the gimmick stays. But if I want to make absolutely sure that the gimmick, I want to make absolutely sure that the gimmick stays behind, of course I just put my left thumb here. So they put their initials. They've seen me draw. This is a just drawn picture. Da, 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 da. I'm showing it around like this. They put their initials. I'm here, I come up here, put my thumb off and just take that off. This goes in my pocket. They just put their initials on this. They saw me drawn with the same marker. I love it. The nice thing about them using the marker is it makes sure it's an ordinary marker. They see the ink is really flowing. It really sells the idea that you just drew this. Then you say, concentrate on your card, and you shake. Sometimes I'll even say to them, hold out your thumb and finger like this, like that. Okay, and now I want you guys to shake it. Do you feel the snowflakes moving around a little bit in the globe and they think you're crazy? You're concentrating on your card, and you want to plant a time lapse between when they last saw it on the cards and now. Okay, like this, they're shaking, and then again, I'm going to use that line I mentioned earlier, and I, of course, would never perform all these tricks on the Switchless project at the same time, but then I say, go ahead, turn that over. And when people see that your just drawn picture has come to life, and not only come to life, but that somehow the flakes have gathered. I mean, it'd be enough if it just came to life. I discovered with my original snowstorm design years ago that just by the first phase of having the dots scatter was strong, memorable magic. People would freak out. It just does it. It's so unlike a typical card trick where is this your card and that's all you got. Okay, the animation of the drawing comes to life, but the fact that it comes to life, if they're shaking it down like this in their own hands, or if you're dealing with drunk people, you can't count on them to necessarily not take a peek, right? I mean, we all know that. Or, so you have them put up their hand, you put this on top, and you have them put their other hand on top, and then say shake. Now they can shake, and there's almost no chance they're going to be jerks enough to stop and look and the whole thing. So they're shaking, they're concentrating. I want you to see the number. I don't know if it's a Q for a queen or an S for a 7, whatever, and you're sort of guiding them. Whatever the number is, whatever the shape of the suit, maybe you're seeing the spade. Concentrate on it, okay? And you look. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll look at it first. I'll look at it first and say, man, you did a great job. That looks so much like, I think I can see a 3 there. And, so you have had them announce the 3 of diamonds. I think I can see a 3. I think it looks a little bit like a diamond. And they, of course, think you're just talking out your butt, right? And then when you turn and they see all of those little snowflakes that come together to show the 3, to show the diamond. Now, I used to do this, like I said, unsigned. The switch is still so good, so convincing, people still believe it. But with the initial now, the evidence is overwhelming. And the fact that they can examine this, the fact that you can give this away, for all those reasons, I just think Snowstorm, I get great reactions, and it's, out of all the tricks I've performed and created over many years, this is definitely top tier stuff for me. Absolutely, Snowstorm. Try it, I bet you get great reactions.